So thank you so much for having me here today. Dr. Kelly with me. I appreciate the opportunity, and for all of you. I'm going to be talking today about energy psychology, calming stress and distress with energy tapping. How many of you, raise your hand if you're familiar with energy psychology or energy tapping? Nobody here. Okay. This is something that we can look at transcending anger and stress. We can calm down anxiety. Medical school, there's going to be a lot of that. And managing pain and fatigue. In previous years I've been here, we have focused on working on handling the alternatives to opioids with thought field therapy. And we even had, in the classroom there, we had one of our pain patients who actually is in the book, and this is all supposed to be confidential, but when she gave her presentation, she said, "Oh, and I'm chapter 18," and I thought, oops, oh well. So this is where we're going to be going today, but we will be, I'll be sharing something different today and not focusing on the pain so much, although we'll include a little bit of it in a generic thing. Let's see, it's advance, oops. Advance the slide.
The bottom button.
Bottom button.
I confused that too.
Oh, I'm,
There you go.
oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay, and I'm going to be sharing, I had the opportunity, I used to be the chief psychologist at Kaiser. We did use the thought field therapy at Kaiser in behavioral medicine. If you're interested in any of that, it's all the research articles I will be talking about are on my website, and I'll put that up on the screen at the end, but it's www.tftcenter.com. And we have been, actually, since I retired, I was 31 years at Kaiser, and since I retired from there, I've been able to do trauma relief missions. So I've gone to New Orleans post-Katrina 3 times, and we've worked with the genocide survivors in Rwanda. I've gone 11 years there, and we had fabulous experiences working with the genocide survivors, and in the most recent years, working in the prisons there. And I'll share a little bit about that because we looked at being able to transform tears into smiles. I like this sunflower that we had from one of our local sunflower farms there. I'm going to share, oops.
Top button? Not working?
The bottom button?
No, top arrow.
Oh, the top one. Okay, sorry. Do I have this upside
You can
down?
also go here. Just hit there.
Oh, that arrows.
Yeah.
Okay, I might do
But
that.
it was this one.
Oh, the middle.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, I'm pushing all the wrong buttons. Sorry about that. I'm very low tech. So how many of you are familiar with polyvagal theory from Stephen Porges? Okay, so I'll share. I got to meet Stephen Porges last year at a conference in energy psychology conference, and was having him sign his latest books. Polyvagal safety he's doing a lot of research on the autism spectrum where they're hypersensitive to sounds and get overstimulated very easily. And then he has a book on the one that's in blue, the clinical applications of polyvagal theory. And I was having him autograph the books, and I was thanking him for including energy psychology in his clinical applications book. And then I said, you know, we had been very excited about when we were working in Rwanda because we were treating severe genocide survivors who had very, very severe, horrendous traumas. In fact, it was like, it's good that with the thought field therapy, we're doing our treatment of ourselves simultaneously, and so is the interpreter, because we're looking at, they're telling us such horrendous, horrendous stories. And as I was thanking him while he was signing the book, he looked at my name and he said, "Oh, you're the person that did the research in Rwanda." I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Well, he said, oh, he took off his mask and he told his assistant, take a picture." So then I got a picture too. That's why I got a picture of both of us without masks. Because he said he was so excited because he's a researcher. He's a neuroscientist. He had developed a theory, and he said it was hard to prove. You know, you got laboratory studies and things, but when he heard about what we were doing in Rwanda, and we were puzzled because we have these severe, severe trauma patients. They're not patients, the trauma survivors, and they were some of them within minutes, most of them, you know, maybe within a half an hour, some within an hour, some longer, 2 hours, 3 hours, and some we had to do multiple times, but there were many who within like 10, 15 minutes, they said, and we saw them 10 years, the first time we went, I've gone 11 years, but the first time we went was 10 years after the genocide. And they still had the flashbacks and nightmares as if it had just happened yesterday. And so, and we just hearing the ones that could talk about what happened, just hearing it was secondary trauma. So we were glad that we're showing them how to do it. We always do it with them. And the interpreters are from Rwanda, so they are getting re-triggered. So we're doing that. And to see the changes so rapidly was puzzling to us. In fact, the first few times we looked at when they say, oh, you know, it's gone. The flashbacks are gone. And then the next day when they say that the nightmares are gone, they can actually sleep without having the nightmares for the first time in 10 years. And this followed every year after. And when we had reported on that, we were very puzzled because we thought, how does that happen? And Stephen Porges, when he heard about it, he said, hooray, that helps me prove my theory, the polyvagal theory. And let me share that. I'm going to share, oops, going the wrong way. I'm going to share what one of the energy psychology, Dr. Robert Schwartz, he actually has made it in more comprehensible language for the layperson than the very technical writing. I've tried to read Stephen Porges' many books, and it's very tough reading, but I will give you the translation from Robert Schwartz. So energy psychology can be seen as an exposure-based, body-oriented psychotherapy. So it's somatic therapy working on the body level that restores the ventral vagal regulation of the flow of information and energy in the mind-body system. So polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges suggests that the body-to-mind side of the road, the sensory pathways from the body to the brain has like 4 lanes of traffic compared to only 1 lane that goes from the mind to the body side, motor pathways from the brain to the body. So that's why we looked at, we were working very hard with a lot of our traditional therapies, are cognitive-based, or on thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs. They do work. But then when we looked at working with the somatic therapies, where we look at body level, we saw much more powerful effects faster, which was puzzling because we didn't know how that happened until we looked at his theory, and he felt it was a validation of his theory. Trauma disrupts the vagal braking system, and insufficient vagal braking capacities are highly correlated with affect dysregulation. So energy psychology's ability to treat trauma involves vagal mediation through restoring the body to a sense of safety by replacing the sympathetic or dorsal vagal reactivity with ventral vagal regulation. And this is confirmed by HRV studies. And if you are interested in the ones we did at Kaiser, there's a little bit of that in the Kaiser article that I have on my website, where we use some HRV data in studies. When the mind is no longer hijacked by intense affect dysregulation, the information can be processed in a new way. The narrative shifts as the autonomic state shifts and as neuroception becomes one of safety. So with polyvagal theory and energy psychology and treatment of trauma, the steps involved are access the memory, create a counter experience so that the memory is experienced in such a way that it fundamentally contradicts the meaning of the original experience. And then you repeat the treatment a number of times. You're retraining these neural pathways in the brain. This enables the transformation as the memory goes back into long-term storage without the body-based trauma states to have the traumatic memory resolved. The vagal system no longer is sending the message of a clear and present danger, and the ventral and vagal system is sending the message of current safety. So as the internal autonomic state changes, the meaning of the memory spontaneously changes. And that's where we were able to see that. This is in the Porges' book on clinical applications. Thank you. And so now looking at thought field therapy, among the things that we can do with this body-based therapy, which is kind of like doing, you've had Dr. Tommy this morning, it's kind of like doing acupuncture without the needles, and that you can do it as often as you like by yourself. And you can do it either by tapping or massaging, activating the meridians, or you can do it mentally. We had, for example, an entertainer who had panic attacks with the floodlights and also fluorescent lights. When they get older, they tend to flicker, and that can induce, some people have panic attacks or seizures with the flickering lights. And this entertainer with the floodlights had hit panic attacks. So it's a real problem for an entertainer because you cannot be seen on stage without the floodlights. But with the floodlights, he had panic attacks. So every performance, he was having a panic attack. He would have to leave the stage, wait about 40 minutes after he took the, whether he took Xanax or Klonopin or whatever the anxiolytic he was taking, wait 40 minutes to have an effect, and then he'd go back on stage. But you know how people are, they're not very happy with waiting 40 minutes. I mean, they're getting entertained in the meanwhile by the backup crew. However, it's not what they came to see, so they're not very happy about it. So then he starts to sing again, and his singing is a little off. So they're looking at, wait a minute, he's gone 40 minutes, he was fine before he left, it seemed, and now he comes back and he can't sing right. So they think, oh, he must have been smoking pakalolo, or he was drinking. So they start calling him pothead, alcoholic. Not a good thing when you're anxious, so he would get more agitated. So the doctor referred him and said, the medications aren't working with the panic. Can you try something that can help him so he can perform, because he's a very talented entertainer. So we were able to get to have him learn the thought field therapy for his panic attacks. He learned how to do it completely mentally. So he's on stage, he has full palpitations, breathing, shaking, he's sweating, he can't sing because he can't breathe right. He signals the backup crew that he needs to have them break in because he's going to be doing the tapping. He stays on stage, doesn't even drink water because people might think it's vodka. And mentally, he goes through the treatment points, pretending that he's laughing at the backup crew's jokes. And in 3.5 to 4.5 minutes, he brings down a full-blown panic attack. Palpitations stop, breathing goes to normal, shaking stops, sweating stops. He can breathe normally, he can sing, he signals the backup crew, and off he goes to sing. So it literally has saved his career. And because he kept repeating this treatment, it got to a point where he retrained the neural pathways in the brain. So he's performing same floodlights, no panic attacks. So it actually helped him with the underlying cause of his panic attacks. And then he said he was doing fine for several months, and I think about 9 months or so later, you know, when the lights get older, they start to flicker. So then the floodlight was flickering, and he's in the middle of a performance, and he starts to get the panic attack. So to get him through that, he remembered how to do, he did the treatment mentally, he was able to get through it, and of course, as soon as they finished the performance, they changed the floodlight for the next performance, but it actually helped him to even go the worst case scenario when he has a flickering floodlight. So that's something that can be done mentally. So that was with panic. This is a great treatment not only for chronic pain, which we presented at your classmate, incoming classmates over the past, I think, eight or 9 years we've been doing it. And then with, of course, trauma, anxiety, stress, anger, depression, phobias, relationship problems. There's a whole host of other things, because anything that exacerbates, you know, anxiety, depression, stress can exacerbate any physical illness or symptoms that you have. So this can be very, very helpful with that. This was developed by Roger Callahan, clinical psychologist. He has since passed away, but that was his book, Tapping the Healer Within. And we have Overcoming Adversity, How Energy Tapping Transforms Your Life's Worst Experiences, Trauma for Post-Traumatic Growth. There are specific treatments for different things like depression, anxiety, stress, trauma, chronic pain. And the chapters all have the different treatments for them. The last few chapters are some of our work from Rwanda with the genocide survivors. And then the appendix has how to do the treatment. And let me just go forward with, we've been able to use this now in Lahaina, and what I'd like to share with you today is some of the things that we have developed to work with the people in Lahaina who have had a lot of not only been traumatized by the wildfires, but also been able to have some apprehension about even some of the help, because they've had some people telling them what to do and being able to not really hear what they're feeling and some of the concerns that they had. So we were working very slowly, doing psychological first aid things, and then working gradually into working with some of the things from thought field therapy that we incorporated. So one of the things that we had was looking at transforming into new beginnings, and this is where you see the life of the transformation of the caterpillar to the monarch butterfly. And you see in the background is the lahaina tree that has survived the fire. There are actually little green shoots coming out now, so they're hoping they can really save that tree. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you, and this, everybody get into it. We'll get your body English going as we get into this. Really put yourself into it. We are going to look at the butterfly hug with centering. The butterfly hug was created by Lucina Ortegas while she was on a mission in Acapulco, Mexico, post-Hurricane Pauline. We're going to use the centering from thought field therapy, which involves, maybe I didn't put the slide up. If you make a fist, there's a little bump where the line crosses your palm, ends in this little fold here on the blade of your hand. That's the point that we're going to tap. We call that the karate point. That gets you centered and grounded. But you can open your hand, and we're doing that, and like many of the groups that we're working with had also lost their church. One of the churches in the front street was destroyed, and some of the others were so we, in order to activate this point, we had them do this, where you can do like your hands in prayer, and you can do that. So you can do it this way or this way. So that's to get the centering, and that's from thought field therapy. And we also incorporated some diaphragmatic breathing. So we're incorporating the psychological first aid things that they might be more familiar with this, and we're going to actually do it all together. Because we're doing it on Lahaina with some Hawaiian population there too, and wanted to, so I will use some of the words we use there to bring in the Hawaiian language as well. So everybody ready? We're gonna really get into it. Everybody ready? Okay, so let us choose to bring our hands together. And we're going to bring our hands together with the palms facing you, and you're going to connect your thumbs to form a butterfly. And choose to bring your crossed hands over our hearts, gently tapping healing energy, calming care, love, and gratitude into our hearts, pu'uvai. We want to be centered and strong as we turn our hands, our healing energies, and aloha outward to our families, so your classmates, you can share it with each other. Your healing energy, send it out to everybody in the room. Sending it out to our ohana, your friends, your neighbors, everyone. And then we want to, now this is the part, get your body English into it. We want to let go of overwhelm. Let go of frustration. Yay, good job. Let go of pain. Good. Let go of anger. Let go of hurts. And let go of fears. All the sticky emotions that can hold us back from moving forward. Then we can clasp our hands. So we're going to clasp our hands together. getting centered and grounded. From our hearts down to our centers. So we can bring it down to the now, to your center. Very good. We can let that calming, centering energy rise up from our centers, from our now, moving upward with our deep breaths up to our hearts, puvai. Taking slow, deep breaths from our diaphragms. Hold the breath. And then even more slowly exhaling. Good. So slow, deep breath. 1,000. 2, 1,000. Hold the breath. 1,000. 2, 1,000. And then even more slowly exhaling. 1,000. 2, 1,000. 0. Then move our crossed arms up over our hearts, puvai, with hands on opposite shoulders. And gently tap on alternate shoulders in calming, centered butterfly hugs. We can continue to take the slow, deep breath, holding the breath, and then even more slowly exhaling. So taking a slow, deep breath, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Holding the breath, 1,000, 2, 1,000. And then even more slowly exhaling, 1,000, 2, 1,000. 0. Very good. And you can continue that as long as you want, but it's a way to combine, and we're introducing us into getting started with centering and grounding with thought field therapy. So there's the butterfly hug, and we're freeing the mind, body, spirit to rise up to new horizons. So we had seen that, here's a diagram to show you that karate point, which is, we call it the karate point. It's a polarity reversal to get you centered and grounded. It's, we sometimes call it the karate point because the center point in the body is below the navel, used in Aikido, Ki training, and a lot of the martial arts from the East. And then for karate demonstrations, you sometimes see them do this to the brick or the 2x4, and then they break the brick or the 2x4. I used to think that they were aiming on the brick or the 2x4, and then I realized that, oh, they're actually not aiming on the brick or the 2x4. They're actually getting centered. They're getting grounded, lessening negativity or self-doubt. So when they execute the move, they would break the brick or the 2x4 and not hurt their hand. Okay. So one of the things that we actually then were doing was helping them with a combined protocol. So we were looking at trauma, which is the eyebrow, under eye, underarm, under collarbone. And then the anger, rage, which was tiny finger for the heart, and then the outside edge of the eye for the gallbladder. And then there are many people with survivor guilt, that how is it that I survived and someone else didn't? So we had the index finger for the guilt, and then we had the grief and the depression and the sadness, which was on the thyroid meridian, the gamut spot on the back of the hand. That's between the fourth and fifth metacarpal. So in that one we do longer. So actually, let's go through that. So it is start with the beginning of your eyebrow for your bladder meridian. You can do either side or both. You can either tap, press and release, or massage. That is your bladder meridian and part of the trauma. It's also panic, anxiety, stress and anxiety treatment. So the beginning of your eyebrow for your bladder, then the bone under the center of your eye for your stomach, then under your arm for your spleen, and then under your collarbone for your kidney. And then we're going to do the anger rage. Tiny finger for your heart, the last digit of your tiny finger, right, okay. And then from the corner of your eye, moving out to where that, right here, that about 3/4 of an inch out for your gallbladder meridian, for the outside edge of the eye. Those are for the anger rage. And then for the last digit of your index finger for the guilt, survivor guilt. And then on that gamut spot on the back of your hand for the depression, grief, sadness, loss. And that we usually do for about a half a minute to a minute. That's also the one we use for pain, chronic pain. And also for fatigue. It's something when you're tired studying, you can, this is your thyroid meridian. And it actually perks up the energy level, so you can do that when you get tired. Yes, and then under your collarbone for your kidney meridian. Are we running out of time?
We are, but I'm so sorry, I have to moderate another training, but I think what you guys will really like is she can show you how to modify your stress feelings. You know, I told you about the box breathing earlier, but can you just show them that? Or does someone have pain somewhere?
Anyone have pain?
This is our consummate volunteer.
Ah!
We made him look younger earlier. Pain.
So we can do either pain or stress?
Yeah, and it won't take you long. I just have to start another meeting.
Oh,
But
okay.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for coming.
much.
Oh, my
Thank you
goodness.
so
And I'm
much.
sorry, guys, I have to run out. But remember, stay open-minded. And I gotta say, this was the thing I doubted the most, all this, you know, thought
Yes.
stuff, you know, like, how does that work? And darn it, it works, and it's free, and there's no side effects. So, wow. Okay.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Okay,
I'm
very
sorry.
good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so, and then let me actually get to the slide with the information if you want to look things up on for the research articles. And that what we can do is to now look at any questions that you have. Who has a question? Any question? No, okay, so let's look at seeing what you want to work on. How many people have chronic pain? We have a couple of chronic pain, okay. So let's see, chronic pain, let's take a look at that. So with the chronic pain now, let's see, and what's your name? Tony? Okay, Tony, and where do you feel the pain? Low back. Was it related to an injury? Sitting a lot, okay, okay, got it. And low back anywhere else? That's the main place. Okay, and if you were to rate the pain, 0 is none at all, and 10 is the worst it goes for you, how high would you rate it now? 2. Oh, it's really low. Okay. And you had, we had yoga. Oh, this is because of the studying, yeah? And anywhere else that you feel it? No, okay. And on a 0 to 10 scale, 0 not at all, 10 is the biggest it goes for you, how high would you rate it? About 2, okay. These are really low. Okay. Anybody else with pain or fatigue? I'm gonna have you work on the fatigue. And then Tony and Ryan, do you also have fatigue? Okay, how high is your fatigue? Because the treatment is the same for the fatigue as well. So when you look at the fatigue, do you also feel it in your low back? Or you feel it someplace else too?
Back and legs.
And your legs, okay. And how high is the fatigue?
It's probably more like a 5 or 6.
Let's go with that. Okay, and Ryan, your fatigue?
Back and my eyes.
Back in your eyes, okay, very good. And how high is that one?
That's solid
6
6 or 7.
or 7, good, okay. So everybody else, write down where you feel it in your body, because everybody, I think with medical students, everybody's got fatigue. And so look at the fatigue, concentrate on the fatigue, and see how you would rate it right now, 0 to 10. And put it down, and where you feel it in your body. And what we're going to do is we're going to first get ourselves centered and grounded where we are. So we're going to do that karate point on the side of the hand. Get you centered and grounded with the karate point on the side of your hand. And then we're going to work on the fatigue and pain with that gamut spot on the back of your hand. So we're going to activate this between the 4th and 5th metacarpal on the back of your hand. You can do that for about a minute. You can just activate that. You can tap, you can press and release, you can massage it. Later on, you can also do it mentally or by just holding it. And you can have your hand comfortable. I'm short, so I raise my hand so you can see what I'm doing. So we can do that for about a half a minute to a minute. Minute is better. Very good. You're activating your thyroid meridian. And then we're going to go under the collarbone, between your 2 collarbone notches, down an inch, over an inch, under the collarbone for your kidney meridian. Very good. And when you look at that fatigue now, Tony, as you look at it now, any change when you look at the fatigue level?
I don't know.
It still sits. Okay, and Ryan?
I guess I'm thinking about it less.
What's that?
I guess I'm thinking about it less. Maybe a little bit less.
So if you put a number on it, where did you say it is now?
Say a 5.
5. Very good. So you've got down 2. For the rest of you with the fatigue, raise your hand if you notice a little difference in your fatigue level. There's some of you have raised your hand. Yeah, okay. Some of you have seen a difference. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate the lymphatic drainage system. So between your 2 collarbone notches, if you could go down an inch and go to your left side horizontally and push as you go along until you find a spot that feels a little tender, your lymphatic drainage point on the left side. When you find that, how many of you can't find the tender spot? Raise your hand if you can't find it. Everybody found it? different circulatory points, and then we'll repeat the treatment. So we're going to tap under your nose, which is the governing vessel that goes this way. This also under your nose can help you with nausea, lightheadedness. Also helps us with like embarrassment. So that's your governing vessel, circulatory. Okay, and then we're doing the body points on the side of your hand to get you centered and grounded. And then your middle finger for your circulation meridian. And now you're doing the thyroid gland, the Gavin spot on the back of your hand. You can do that for about a minute. Very good. Then under your collarbone for your kidney. And Tony, when you look at that, to see any change now when you look at it now. Still about 4. Yeah. And Ryan? About 4? Okay, good. Okay. So how many of you have a decrease in the fatigue? Raise your hand if you've got a decrease in fatigue. Something that you can do is actually, we've worked with a lot of graduate students and actually students of all kinds, is they're looking at a good way to be able to help you